Greetings, gardeners. I'm Kara. Welcome to my jungle. Now, unlike other gardening shows, I'm not going to be here to tell you how easy it is to grow your own food and save a whole ton of money while you're doing it, because the reality is you're probably going to spend a lot more money than you would just buying food at the store. But I'm going to show you the truth of gardening. I'm going to show you how ugly it is, how painful it can be, but there's also some kind of benefits somewhere. It burns calories, supposed to be good for your mental health, until you see that the raccoons have destroyed your entire vegetable garden overnight, or a hurricane has flattened your fruit trees to the ground, and then it's not good for your mental health. But usually they say it's good for your mental health, but it's definitely good physically. It gets you out of the house. So today we're going to start with something we're harvesting this time of year in Southwest Florida, which is roselles, sometimes called the Cranberry Hibiscus, hence the cranberry colored shirt. So the other name for this plant, if you are in certain parts of the Caribbean, they call it sorrel. If you are in other parts of the Caribbean where they speak Spanish, this is called Jamaica. For your gringos out there, that's spelled Jamaica, but it's pronounced Jamaica. Now you might know this as hibiscus tea or red zinger tea, and that's where that particular tea comes from. So this is the plant here. Super striking, very beautiful. Check it out. Green leaves, dark red stem, and this right here, that's the part that you consume in your tea, the calyx. That's the calyx that grows around the flower. So that's what we're harvesting. That's what we want. And you want it to get big. You wait till after it has bloomed to harvest. So these bloomed before. There's none open today, and now they're ready to harvest. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to prune it off like that. You can snap it off, but sometimes that doesn't work, and then you end up ripping off half the branch, and that's no good. Now, why am I wearing gloves? Because they have tiny spines that hurt my hands, and if you're tough, then you can forget about it and try it without gloves, but that's not for me. So you're just going to go and look for the bigger ones, the nice big one. You can harvest them smaller too. They're still edible at that stage, but you want more bang for your buck, so I go for the bigger ones. Be careful that you don't snap off the babies that you haven't eaten yet. So go through, harvest them whatever size you want, depending on how impatient you are. Snap them off and put them in your basket. I recommend baskets for harvesting. And now you don't have to go and buy an expensive fancy new one on Etsy and be some fancy gardener. You can buy these at a thrift store for like $1 and get lots of harvest baskets. You can hang it on your arm while you're harvesting. Now, something else on my gardening channel that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to be telling you about really fancy, expensive gadgets that I use for gardening, because you know what? Then you're definitely not saving money by gardening. You're going to be spending hundreds and even thousands of dollars on fancy beds and fancy tools to try to save money by growing food. That's ridiculous. Who's going to do that? You're already going to be losing money trying to grow food, no matter what. I promise you that. But again, it's good for your mental or physical health or something. Now, you're probably thinking, this doesn't look like a big harvest, Kara. Well, no, calm down, okay? This is the fifth harvest this year. So it's obviously going to be smaller. They were bigger before. Calm yourself. So what we're going to do after we harvest these is we're going to peel off this calyx here. And that's the part you want. We're going to get rid of that middle part. The rest of this, you can freeze it, you can dry it. I like to use it fresh, boil it down, and make a concentrated beverage, which in other countries you can call it agua de Jamaica or sorrel, but I'm just going to turn it into a tea beverage and mix it with my green tea to make my green tea taste better, because I don't like the way green tea tastes. And you're probably thinking, I love the way green tea tastes by itself, Kara, what's your problem? Well, not everybody's like you, Gary, okay, so calm down. Now, I'm going to take a break from the harvesting and show you something about the sorrel plant. So you'll see my sorrel plants are growing in pots. Why are you growing them in pots, Kara? Well, I'm going to try to show you why. So, down here in Southwest Florida, we contend with so many challenges growing veggies, which is why if you grow your own, you'll see that produce should be a lot more expensive at the store than it is. You're going to really get an appreciation for how cheap produce is, because there are so many problems with growing your own, so many pests and diseases, and this is one of them that we have in Southwest Florida. So you see that little ball there? That is from root knot nematodes. And root knot nematodes are tiny little organisms. They're not insects, but they are a nematode. Now they will get into the roots. And when they get into the roots, they are living in the roots. You cannot get rid of them. Once you see this in your plant, there's no cure. There's nothing you can do. This plant is done. These little balls here are impeding the plant's ability to absorb nutrients and water from the soil. They also increase the potential for it to have fungal diseases and bacterial diseases get into the roots. And that's why I grow in pots, to try to avoid these little suckers. But obviously it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because the roots went through the pot into the native soil and brought the nematodes up into the pot. But at least it delayed it by doing it this way. So by growing in the pot, I did delay the inevitable, but that's why I can't grow this or tomatoes or peppers or potatoes or eggplants or yada 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 in our native soil, because it's full of nematodes. And that is why you might not always save money growing your own food, because you might have nematodes like us. So this, you can see this is nice, beautiful, organic potting soil. And one of the recommendations from experts to avoid nematodes is organic soil. And you can see it still didn't work. So that's why gardening is not always cheap or easy or fun, and it can actually be harmful to your mental health sometimes. But you can try it anyway. So, moral of the story, gardening is hard, but still maybe worth it or beneficial. You know, it's nice to be able to eat something you grew yourself sometimes when it's not destroyed by raccoons or a freeze or a hurricane or a drought or a wildfire or pests. But you can try. And on this channel, I'm going to show you the challenges. I'm going to show you very few successes. And I'm going to show you cheap and easy way to do things, not expensive $700 raised gardening beds or $800 composters or any of that high-tech gadget mumbo jumbo that's going to cost way too much money, and you're still going to have failures. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends.